بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى صدق الله العظيم.
الحمد لله الذي أعزنا بالإسلام واختارنا من أمة خير النبي أخرج في العالم، وأنزل عليه أحسن الكتب وأجل الكلام هدى ورحمة للأنام، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، فيا أيها المسلمون أوصيكم ونفسي أولا بتقوى الله عز وجل، فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. ما بعد، اتقوا الله اتقوا الله اتقوا الله حيثما كنت، وأتبع السيئة الحسنة تمحها، وخالق الناس بخلق حسن. Respected sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Next week, all across South Africa, there will be millions of dreams, aspirations, and hopes alive in the air, and also some fears, anxiety, and trepidation. For some, it will be the end of a 12-year-long journey to adulthood and responsibility in the big bad world, while for others, it will be the beginning of life outside of the home, on their first baby steps towards independence. Many will be sleepy-eyed, some even teary-eyed, but everyone will start afresh, start anew with a clean slate as they enter the 2022 academic school year. Human beings love the beginning of things, the nervous excitement that accompanies it. A new day, a new book, a pair of new shoes, a new series, or a new love interest. That smell of a new book, the sound of a new baby, or that feel of that new shirt, the potential and unexplored possibilities that beginnings bring are one of the defining features of how we see ourselves and the world around us, and are pivotal in both unleashing our imagination and our creativity for what could be. It is in the spirit of this time of newness, with its optimism and positivity, that I would like to take a look briefly at the educational environment our learners will be entering into next week as they begin this new year, and look at how we can view it anew. There can be no doubt that the last 2 years have brought tremendous change, difficulty, and disruption in all spheres of our lives. And the educational environment may be one of the most affected. It has forced us into new ways of learning and teaching, new ways of socially interacting, and new ways of thinking. One of the consequences of being outside of the traditional educational environments of the classroom or the lab or the lecture hall was this realization that had been there all along, but remained obscured, that our children's learning does not happen individually in silos at school, and that their learning environment, the one they inhabit daily, is often ill-equipped to expose and help them navigate the new challenges they face in society, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. And what we definitely have realized is that education is beyond just a learner sitting in a classroom understanding the facts in a book. But crucially, it includes how those facts are acted upon and how they affect others. This is where I want to briefly delve into the Islamic understandings and commentary on education and learning, and pose a fundamental question which we often only answer superficially. What is the point of learning? Why do we learn? What is the objective of getting an education? Scholars who have written about the purpose of education and learning, such as Mahmoud al-Zamarkashi, Fakhruddin al-Razi, Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, and Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, have all located their discussion of learning and education under the Islamic concept and idea of hikmah, or wisdom. Now, hikmah differs from ilm, or knowledge, as a pure entity. This distinguishing factor is what separates knowledge from wisdom, that knowledge can help you to understand whether a fact is true or whether it is false. But wisdom is the ability to decide whether an issue is right or whether it is wrong. Islamic scholars have therefore always seen action linked and tied together with ideas and learning. Practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge together constituting and making up hikmah, or wisdom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about wisdom in many of the ayat of the Quran. But wisdom, as it relates to learning and education, is touched upon specifically in the Quranic story in Surah Luqman, chapter 31, from verses 12 onward. And it supports this understanding of wisdom being both knowledge and action bound together. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Luqman alayhi salam as a wise person, a person with hikmah, with knowledge and understanding, as an educator. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declares, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةَ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ وَمَنْ يَشْكُرْ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. And we have certainly given Luqman wisdom, hikmah. And we have said, be grateful to Allah. And whoever is grateful for the benefit of him or herself. And whomsoever denies Allah's favor, then indeed Allah is free of need and praiseworthy. In the surah, Luqman alayhi salam is seen as defining wisdom as not simply possessing suitable knowledge, but acting upon it. Wisdom, or hikmah, according to his advices to his son, is not only about accumulating knowledge, but also about understanding and applying it. We have all lamented often when looking at schools or passing through a group of friends of our children, this new attitude towards learning. Either we have said it or we have heard people who are involved in criticizing what children these days learn, how they learn, and the value of their learning. And it often culminates in a lament about how we have an education system that creates disrespect for children. And we complain about the way things were better before and how standards for morality have changed. And then it becomes easy to judge and portray the problem as generational. But this does nothing to solve and identify the missing link. There has been a gradual change in learning environments and culture. Our children learn more. They are inundated with more information, more theories, more technology, and more facts. They study more niche and specialized topics and are encouraged to excel, and there is a great emphasis put on success. None of that is inherently bad or intrinsically wrong, but it is missing what Ghazali calls the soul, or the practical basis and moral underpinnings of merging action and belief together. Practical knowledge on the one hand, and theoretical knowledge on the other hand, to create wisdom. From an Islamic perspective, education and learning is causally related to moral, ethical action. As Luqman alayhi salam teaches his son in the ayat which follows, يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور. My son, establish the salah, the prayer. Enjoin what is good, forbid what is evil, and endure with patience whatever affliction may befall you. Surely these have been emphatically enjoined upon you. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly draws a correlation between wisdom and righteous action. Luqman alayhi salam, in his wisdom, is teaching his son to enjoin, to encourage good, and to stay away and disavow evil. Not only to think about it, but to willfully act. This ayah also resonates with an important element that Al-Ghazali mentions: ethical theory of human conduct. In the learning process, Ghazali considers both theory and practice and says, knowledge without work is insanity, and work without knowledge is vanity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, therefore, in these verses, is not only tying together earthly and socially relevant action to knowledge, but spirituality as well. The righteous conduct that the ayah invokes is an exaltation to God consciousness, or taqwa. And so knowledge, moral action, and God consciousness are intrinsically linked together. I want to conclude this nasiha by suggesting some ways in which we can start to recreate learning cultures anew within our schools, in our homes, and within our neighborhoods. And there are three small suggestions which I'd like to leave you with. Firstly, act. Yes, pretty simple. We are a society of talkers, social media posters, opinionistas, but we don't do enough. Learning is only fully actualized when it is accompanied by work and action. So act. Volunteer at the soup kitchen. Donate your time, your money, your old clothing or belongings to an orphanage or a shelter. Support your local civic and community organizations in their projects. Act. Do something. Secondly, a healthy learning culture needs to be based on foundational values and morals. Identify 3 or 4 important ones to your family. Perhaps honesty, kindness, hard work, gratitude, teamwork, resilience, fairness, any of those. Discuss them with your spouse and with your children and why they are important to you and your family. And role play moral dilemmas where these values may be tested in a learning environment. Kids love acting. Make it a TikTok video challenge. A role play of a situation where the moral of honesty will be tested and how your child will react. This is a great learning opportunity and one which I'm sure they will revel and enjoy. And lastly, and this goes without saying, but let me say it again. Children's brains are like sponges. They take in everything in their environment. This means that even though you said you should be patient and respect others when you were speaking to your child, if they see you cut the line at the supermarket or, God forbid, in the traffic, jump ahead of someone else or pass a red robot, then they'll think that the rules don't matter. Because if daddy does it, it's okay. You have to model the moral. So don't only talk the talk, but we have to walk the walk. I'd like to end with a short dua and supplication and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of our learners as they begin and embark on this new academic year, to keep them safe and help them overcome the many difficulties they face each day. We also pray for the teachers and parents, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help them create positive, creative, inclusive, and healthy learning cultures on a bedrock of morals to take our communities, our neighborhoods, our country, and our society forward. A special dua also for all of those who have loved ones who are sick or ill at this time. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the healer, to grant them healing and to ease their pain and cure their ailments. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى صدق الله العظيم.